All right, folks, let's talk briefly about the Brandy versus Monica battle. I did not watch the entire thing. I did not have 3 hours to spare. I checked in about 2 or 3 times, so collectively I want to say I've watched between 35 to 40 minutes of it, but I feel like I've spent the equivalent of 3 hours watching other YouTubers, break down the battle, give their thoughts. I've looked at a crap ton of the tweets, memes, and Instagram posts, and I was laughing my ass off. But let me just say this. When it comes to these versus battles, I remember originally watching, like the only one I've actively watched through the entirety of it was Babyface versus Teddy Riley, but I didn't watch it live. I tried, but I don't know if it was the rematch, when the Wi-Fi was more it was working better than the first time with Teddy's, but I did watch the entire thing once it was uploaded online. But the ones I do want to watch are Snoop and was it DMX? Because I've seen some clips of that, and it looks like they were having a damn good time. And there were like 2 more I wanted to watch. I can't think of what they are off the top of my head, but let me just put it this way. Brandy and Monica, my gosh, they killed it with the numbers. I believe they have the biggest battle in terms of views. Like, they consistently had like 1.2 million viewers throughout the duration of it. And if I'm not super lazy, I'll try to put the stats on screen, but if I am lazy, let me just read it out now. Follow Versus TV on Instagram because they got the photos with the stats. They had over 1.2 million viewers concurrently. In terms of the total viewership, by the time it was over, they had 4.2 million. There were over 100 million in-stream likes. And then on Apple Music, there was over 1.8 million. And let's see, there were over 5 billion impressions online. It was the #1 trending topic in various through 2 through 30 other trending topics. It was the highest tweeted versus battles ever. There were over 1 million tweets about it. And it surpassed 2020 VMAs, which I didn't even know happened because it was just such a afterthought. And there were over 1.9 million tweets globally about the show. Brandy and Monica took over 30 out of 40 songs on Apple Music's top 40 US R&B and soul tracks charts. Brandy and Monica climb and re-enter Apple Music's top 40 US R&B and soul album charts. Let me just say, I don't feel like there's any real one winner in versus. Like, I know the debate is like, oh, so-and-so did this, so-and-so did that. I feel like, I know it sounds cheesy, but I feel like I'm real when I say this. I feel like everybody wins in a versus. Regardless of you get drug online, regardless of the memes and whatnot. If these artists still have like publishing rights and royalties, they win. Not to mention popularity online. Because of the fact that I know that some people fall on hard times, like maybe they sold their royalty rights, their publishing, or maybe they didn't even write their songs. Like, like the people who wrote the songs make the money, like every time it's streamed or whatever. It really depends. Like, some people do have collaboratory contracts where they may have written part of a song or whatever. But let me just say this. The Versus series wins. Both artists involved win because of the social media engagement, not to mention the recognition, which I was talking with me and a friend. We were having a lengthy discussion. I'm talking about somebody from my college days. We still talk, because we lived in the same quad on campus. He was like the only other black guy in the quad. We, linked up, obviously. And we talked about how, the music and everything. I was talking about, man, the thing about it is kind of like, with all these black sitcoms that are coming out on Netflix recently, like Parker's Girlfriend, Sister Sisters, Moesha, and whatnot. A new generation is seeing the greatness of what TV used to be. Before, yeah, it wasn't just Tyler Perry making black content, and there were more shows, and there were shows that were up there in terms of quality, if not surpassed that of, yes, there was a black version of Friends, Living Single, or should I say Friends was the white counterpart of Living Single. They took that idea. But, it's just like a new generation is introduced to all this music. And I think 30 minutes ago, actually, I was talking with a buddy of mine. I'm like, dude, something that just hit me is these verses, because he was talking about the whole Monica and Brandy. Man, I hope they go on tour. And I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen. But I think if nothing else, it's showing this new generation that the music today is trash. And I know there might be a lot of people who like a lot of the current music today, and that's fine. But overall, I feel like if this younger generation, maybe they have their parents or older siblings or relatives, they're watching the versus battles. It's like, man, you don't know nothing about this. Like your Cardi B's and, you know, you the Nicki Minaj's and everything. They ain't got nothing on this. And I'm like, ain't that the truth? At least in my opinion. But it's like back in the day where, look, some of these songs are like 20, 30 years old, give or take, and they still hit because they have longevity. A lot of the songs of today are written in the time that it's relevant. Like a lot of these artists write songs that are for Vine or TikTok or to start like a trending dance craze or whatever. They're based, and that's strategic, but it's only good for now. Like, will these songs last within the next 15 years or even the next 5 years? Like, how many times have you played a Drake song from like 4 years ago? Probably not that much. Again, I'm not trying to pick on Drake. I'm just using some of the bigger names in music right now that, you know, most people like. Old Town Road. Have you listened to that in the past like 6 weeks? You know, I think the song's over a year old now. It's just one of those things where I think that it's beneficial to all parties involved in more ways than one. And the Brandy Monica, like I said, I didn't watch the entire thing, but I watched it a good amount of clips and stuff like that. And yeah, it definitely felt like the vibe was off. It was like, I think one of my favorite memes I saw is like, the thing is, Brandy is that person that plays too much. Monica is that kind of person that doesn't play at all. And it just felt like the energy and the vibe really wasn't there. It was kind of boring because they were just sitting there. A couple times, you know, Brandy, I keep wanting to say Moesha, she started singing and she tried to get Monica to sing. She really didn't want to do it. And then I think some people were saying like, look, we waited 3 hours for The Boy Is Mine, and Monica act like she didn't want to sing and doesn't remember the words and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that is kind of, you know, messed up, especially with this being the biggest verses of all time so far. But it's just one of those situations where I just feel like bad blood doesn't always get cleaned up. You know, all scars don't go away. All wounds aren't fully healed. There are some things that you just can't let go of. And it's like, I get it for the collective good, you know, like going out on tour eventually when the world hopefully reopens up. That would be great because, like I said before, you might see a lot of younger people in the crowds now during like a Teddy Riley or Babyface or Brandy or Jill Scott or Erykah Badu concert because they were introduced in verses. And it's like, you know, the newer generation really likes this music because just looking at the stats on like the Billboard charts and or the Apple Music stores, a lot of these younger people are like, mommy, what's the name of that song? And they'll look it up. Because, yeah, a lot of the older generation, a lot of us probably still got cassettes and CDs and everything. I know I do. I'm 29, but I still got that stuff. More so CDs than anything else, but you know what I mean. And like the streaming on Apple, but don't forget Spotify. A lot of the music is still there too. So I think if nothing else, Versus is a great way for bonding moments. I know I'm going a bit too deep into this, but I really do feel like this is something special. Versus is definitely, it's almost like unsung because a lot of artists, you know, who do TV1's unsung, typically they see a spike in their music online on Spotify and whatnot. Especially, you know, some of them are strategic. It's like, hey, I'm working on a new album or I have a new album out. And then it's like when I do unsung and my episode is aired, then my new album comes out around that time and it will hopefully get up in sales too. So I think that's strategic. Hell, didn't Brandy release an album like last month or something before the verses? So I wonder how the stats of that are doing. But yeah, because I think it came out right around the time of Black is King, Beyonce's thing on Disney Plus. But I really do feel like these versus battles, regardless of the energy and whatnot, which honestly, there have been a lot of battles where even if the artists aren't actively participating in terms of they're just kind of sitting around, but they're playing the music, when they're getting along and they're vibing, and sometimes they have like these little stories in between the songs, it's really cool. But with the Monica and Brandy, it just felt like, you know, the tension was there. They haven't spoken in 8 years. And I'm not even going to dog them on like, you know, oh man, Brandy was wearing this. And then, you know, Monica had the beret. And I'm not going to do that. No. Because honestly, if nothing else, you know, having it on in the background while I was editing, it was good. Cause I'm like, oh damn, there were a lot of ONG moments where I'm like, oh, I thought that was the Brandy song. Oh, I thought that was a Monica song. And it was great because there were a lot of songs I didn't know which one of them sang, but I really liked them. Like some of the ones that come to mind, I was listening to a lot of their music yesterday. For You I Will. Come on, Space Jam. Come on. I know we all know that one. And then, of course, Sitting Up in My Room, Have You Ever. Then, of course, the Cinderella songs. Impossible. I can't really do it. It's like my 8th video in a row. My throat hurts. But, yeah, it's just like, overall, I think Versus is very strategic. And, like, what are some of the Versus battles you would like to see happen? Maybe I'll make a post in the community tab. Like, I think this was something that was trending somewhat online. I think it was questionable because it's like, man, Versus kind of like our thing. We don't need white people in it. Usher versus Justin Timberlake would actually be a pretty interesting one. Look, I know Justin isn't really well received by a lot of black people after the whole Janet Jackson thing at the Super Bowl, but Justin Timberlake has a very strong body of work outside of NSYNC. And no, that Man of the Woods, I did not care for that at all. But the dude, I mean, he has some hits, man. Mirror, Love, Sex, Magic with Sierra, I Got This Feeling. Come on now. And Gone, or what? Technically, that's what. Well, in Versus, can you do that? Can you use group music? Well, yeah, I think you can because Babyface used music for the deal. So, yeah, I think you could. So, yeah, there we go. But with that being said, let me know your thoughts. Did you catch the Brandy versus Monica battle? Do you like it? Or do you feel like I feel in some of these things I said at the beginning of the video when it comes to everybody being a winner? The writers, the producers of the music, the artists getting more, traction online and streaming. And if they did a tour together, do you think Brandy and Monica would do it? I mean, they would make money, but I don't know. They would have to, resolve some things behind the scenes, but we'll just have to wait and see. But thanks so much for tuning in. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal, Cash App, or hit up Patreon for as little as $1 a month.